All right, welcome. It's another encoded voice note. And today I am super honored to have whole health coach, business owner, revolutionary, one of my coaches in the past.
Call me Mona Lisa.
Yeah. And I know you as a goddess, a true goddess, like of the Mycelium network. And so today I just wanted to talk about your story and also ways that you've helped me because I've taken the Remembrance program. Well, it's not called that anymore, right? But we'll talk
Phoenix
about that.
Rising.
Phoenix Rising. So I took the initial stages of it like 2 years ago now.
Hmm.
And want to talk about, the discussion of mycelium networks, what that means, personal transformation, and the primordial portal that we're having together in St. Pete, Florida. So yeah, welcome.
Thank you so much. It's an honor, Leah. You are my favorite teacher, probably one of my favorite
Hmm.
yoga teachers in this lifetime. So it is an honor to be here. I'm ecstatic
I
to,
received that.
yes.
I think one of the best things I love about the work is that it is very revolutionary. It's not something that is talked about a ton because people still, like we were talking about before we hit record, is that there is a consciousness level out there that still considers this to be drugs or having natural medicine as drugs. So I kind of want to know, like, how do you address that? What are some of the things that you think about that? What are your
Mhm.
thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. And I understand it because, I mean, in this current state we live in, mycelium is outlawed. In a majority of the states, you can get in trouble.
Oh,
Um,
really? Okay. I don't even know these things. You have to educate me on these things.
I dip, I am stay familiar with some of these institutions and these laws, it's good to have the awareness. And yeah, there's probably a decent part of the collective consciousness who has that idea that fungus and natural plant medicines are drugs, just because they've been programmed to believe that. But I think it's definitely changing rapidly. People are getting more curious. People are looking for a way to open up their mind and shift their perspective. They're looking for support. And a lot of studies are showing the effects, the benefits and the transformations that we can have from integrating these medicines effectively. So yeah, it's definitely changing rapidly. And these medicines are older than we are. These are
Yeah.
organisms that have been on the planet for longer than we have, and they're incredibly intelligent, and we are biologically designed to work together.
Hmm. And even just the look of them, like if you even just Google like a mycelium network, it looks like a nervous system. It looks like it's connecting things. It looks like a tree root system.
And that's kind of what it is. I mean, and it's an incredibly intelligent communication system. It is an incredibly intelligent system that is delivering um, divine messages. And the mycelium network is the fascia of the earth, and it's
Oh, I love that.
yes. And so it's kind of like, yes, the nervous system, working with your neurons and the fascia as well. I mean, if you look at different fruits and vegetables, you can probably think of an example. There's a correlation to the human organ system, our cells, right?
Yeah.
So when we work with the mycelium, it is strengthening our network and opening our network, and our network is lighting up our the consciousness of our organs is
Mm.
lighting up. And so we are becoming more deeply familiarized and connected into the intelligence of our body.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
I
somatic.
feel that every time, even just with the small. So I'm curious, like, how did you get into all of this?
Yes, I would say in my earlier 20s, I had an immense curiosity for psilocybin, for mushrooms. And I started experimenting with them without any kind of guidance and developed my own relationship with the medicine and kind of figured out my own, stumbled and fumbled my way through my own awakening with it all. And naturally, I started making different blends, adaptogenic blends with a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and started sharing them. And all of a sudden, my friends were coming off with their pharmaceuticals, out of depression, out of anxiety. It was really working. I was like, wow, there's really something here.
Like, so what is that jump? Like, so because like, is it the same kind that you would put on pizza? Is that a dumb question?
Do we want to go off this branch of the fungi world? You know, well, we have adaptogenic mushrooms that are non-psychoactive. And then we have psychoactive mushrooms that contain psychoactive ingredients, psilocybin. So
So did you go into it knowing like, okay, this is a psilocybin?
yes, yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. And within that process, I mean, I've experienced the benefits of all sorts of different kinds of adaptogens and seen how they work together in a synergistic manner.
Yeah, because like when I had cancer, I did take like turkey tail, different adaptogen because I read that they were really good for warding off cancer and things like or like they help with it. After I went through, well, while I had it, and then also when I went through remission in the initial stages. So the first 5 years, I would be drinking that, adaptogenic mushrooms.
So you were working with this medicine in your own timeline naturally to cure yourself.
Yeah, but it wasn't like I knew the difference between that and psilocybin. I had the microdoses for the first time when I took the Remembrance program, your old OG program.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And obviously it catapulted me into pretty much where I'm at now,
Mhm.
which is a totally different place than where I was when I first came to Florida, when we first met.
100%. Yeah, they are definitely powerful little allies. And with the work that you're doing, um, as a yoga teacher, guide, I would love to know like how the mycelium has evolved your relationship with your devotional practice.
Yeah, well, I was doing them every day in small doses. Like I never did the macro. I think I had one macro experience like after the second hurricane that we survived while we've been here. And it was on the earth. So, okay, so when I did do them in the small doses, it was like I felt more present. There's like this feeling where I can feel like the blood running through my veins. Like I just feel really visceral. And I think I'm always sort of in touch with it since I've always been in touch with it, even when I had cancer. So, or before that. And I think that's what the cancer was like screaming at me to really pay attention to it. Because there's times where you can know it and then just ignore it.
Yes.
And so in taking them, it made me become very present where your body's not screaming at you. I just
Right.
felt like I wanted to move. It really made like awakened me to a point where I wanted to move. And then I kind of didn't need them as much anymore because I went really heavy on body movement and then basically just became very consistent in other things, which was, certain rituals in the morning and at night. And then it kind of tapered. And then there's times where I'm like, okay, I really, every time I see you, it's like, okay, I think I want to go on those again because it's sort of like taking a vitamin where the changes for me are like very subtle now.
Yeah. That's so beautiful. You're not supposed to be taking them all the time, honoring just like the laws of rhythm and, working with the medicine and integrating it and coming into a new awareness. And like you said, your rituals would evolve and change as we are always changing. And I love so much the movement piece because
Hmm.
that's a huge part of coming into your somatic awakening and
Yeah.
all of these symptoms arising, all of these emotions, and you start remembering, your body starts speaking to you, and you're like, oh, it's actually the symptom isn't a nuisance, there's wisdom here. energy wants to be moved, something wants to be released, something wants to be acknowledged, transmuted, expressed. And so we need to bring in the somatic tools, the movement, allow ourselves to move, go into our devotional Kriya practice where you can have that visceral release, create that opening, expand your capacity to be
Mhm.
a conduit for more life,
Yeah.
right? We all want to just be able to hold and experience more. So that the mycelium brings opens up that doorway, and you can bridge that awareness into your body and take your mind back, take your energy back, take your body back, and learn how to consciously direct energy and your creative energy.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
I think a huge piece of it for me was the tracking. Because like, you can experience all these little shifts or whatever, but it's like if you're not actually tracking it, because I need to see it. I need to see like with the data of like, okay, this is how I felt. This is what I did. Because I always feel really hungry. I don't know why that. I think it's because I don't like I don't wake I'm not the type of person that's like I'm going to crush 95 grams of protein when I first wake up. I'm trying to be that person. That's a goal of mine, but I will just go and not think about eating until like I'm ravenously hungry. So I think like what it does do is it brings me into a presence of where when I need to eat and how deeply I need to rest.
Mm-hmm.
And so why I love Kundalini with it is
Mm-hmm.
because that is my chosen form of movement. For people that don't really have a chosen form of movement,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I feel like, and then they practice Kundalini with this type of medicine. It's like you'll see the like, shakes and all this, but actually Kundalini is very structured. It's a very structured movement where you are moving in a specific way each time for a specific intent. And so whenever people talk about the Kundalini awakening, I do feel like it isn't 100% accurate for every single person to shake uncontrollably, just like how when people say, "Oh yeah, man, I did some shrooms," and like you're going to see all these psychedelic colors and all of these different things. Like for me, it was real subtle. It was just a feeling of actually thinking about my organs. Some of the things you're talking about is like I don't think I thought about my liver or like my spleen, and so it brought me into that deeper sense of awareness of like, this is what's organizing all of our energy every single day.
Yeah, yeah. It's an autonomic system.
Hmm.
Yeah, beautiful.
Definitely. So anyway, that's what I experienced. But in your experience, do you feel like that everybody like is movement a huge piece of it for the healing process if you are going to partake in actually taking microdoses? There's a
Mm-hmm.
difference between, well, we should back it up. Like, there's a difference between microdosing and actually like macrodosing.
100%. Yeah.
When would be a good time to macrodose? Is there a good time?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, People say different things about this, but to be completely honest, I think people should, if you want to experience or experiment with microdosing, I would actually start off with a macro.
Really?
Yeah, I
What is
think.
a macro like? What would that look like?
Um, well, I think it would depend on the person and the strain that you're working with, the medicine you're working with, but it's typically a little bit of a higher dose. I would say 2.5 grams or higher. I know some people have gone much higher. I don't think I've done several pretty large doses. I don't think it's necessary to do more than a certain amount. It's like it's not really, to me, I don't see what you can get, the medicinal experience and activation that you can get off of 2.5 or 3 grams can be just as powerful as if you were going to double that dose. So I think that's where society, it's like, oh yeah, what they know, what they understand about mushrooms is that ridiculously large dose that they had in their early 20s with like no guidance, no support. And that's what their experience was. The microdosing is taking sub psychedelic amounts of mushrooms over the course of time, ideally 4 to 6 weeks. And integrated properly, you don't have to keep going longer than that. You don't have to, like you said, you know how you'll go in and work with the medicine for a window of time and then, step back from it. That's why I am heavy into the integration work. That's why I created Phoenix Rising, a 2-month integration portal for people to be equipped with the tools that they need to get the most out of their dosing experience.
Okay, so let's talk about that because like most people would find it like they would find it on the streets, right? Like they're just like, okay,
I
yeah, let's
know.
do this. And then they think of it as like having a drink, at least in my experience when I've talked to people about it. So it's like, so how would it be? First of all, how would people find you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can find me on the internet. People, I am on Instagram, Heart Space Revolution. You can find me on YouTube, Heart Space Revolution, heartspacerevolution.com. Um, I've worked with many different populations of people. I've worked with people who struggle with autoimmune disease and imbalances, heart issues. I've worked with people who are healing their addictions, their addictive
Mhm.
tendencies. And that can be anything from alcohol to pornography to weed, tobacco, self-harm. The microdosing helps immensely with that. Me personally, I haven't had a drink in over 3 years, and I used to love
Mhm.
to party, so it's really healing for people who are struggling with addictive tendencies, and that is deeply interwoven into my family as well. So
Mhm.
that's something I've worked with, and more recently, I would love to share that I have been training medical personnel and staff, psychologists and PAs who have been working in Western medicine in their field for however many years, and they've experienced the healing transformation from microdosing and now want to bring that into their work and share it with the world.
Yeah, because you have a public health background, right? Like that's how you got
Yes.
into all this.
Yeah, emergency medicine, background, human biology, psychology. I've worked in occupational therapy, physical therapy. I've dabbled in nursing, and every time I got a little bit too close, before like committing to the nursing program, something would stop me. It's like this isn't where my work is, and it's in prevention. Mm-hmm.
Right, which I think is revolutionary.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Right.
difficult to think like that. It's difficult to think, to shift the thought, because if you go to the hospital, it's disease management. You know what
Right.
I
We
mean?
have been conditioned to subscribe to disease.
Hmm. So how did you kind of get to that level of thinking where it's like, okay, I know that this helps people I mean, you said some major things there. Those are major roadblocks
Yeah.
for people.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I know. The medicine is making a comeback because the populations are ready for that healing and elevation. They're ready for the activation. Their souls and bodies are, and it's only natural. Um, what was your question?
It was about like, how did you make that leap from the societal way of thinking, which is
Mhm.
like to prescribe,
Mhm.
to I know that this can help prevent.
Yeah, yeah. In my own process, well, personally, a lot of my understanding has come down to my beliefs, the biology of belief,
Mm, mhm,
how Joe Dispenza's work, the laws of the universe, really understanding that our body is a reflection of what we believe is possible, how our lives and our circumstances are a reflection of what we believe what is possible and who we believe ourselves to be.
mhm,
So that we can work with the body as an incredibly intelligent ally that is giving us information and feedback about the quality of your thoughts, the quality of your emotions, and you can trace that back to your beliefs and make the adjustments necessary, whether that's through a therapeutic modality, movement, EFT, breath work, Kriya.
mhm.
That's worked for me.
Yeah, me too. What are some other things that work for folks who are struggling with like addiction?
Yeah. The addiction is It's like you are looking for something outside of yourself to fulfill something that you can actually already meet yourself. It's looking for God outside of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. And I don't know, personally for me, I have been someone who I like to dance with addictions. So I haven't I can't say that I've like completely healed my addictive tendencies because I think it's natural to find myself, maybe looking to have a little bit of extra sugar, or maybe I want some tobacco in my spliff. And then,
Mm-hmm.
it can unravel from there. But for me, the microdosing has helped with that because it really creates an opportunity for me to be still. It comes and intercepts your default mode network, which is when certain parts of your brain are activated when you are in reflection, or
Mm.
maybe daydreaming, or maybe there's some thoughts of rumination there. So it comes in, the microdosing puts the wedge in between the default mode network so that you can come back fully into the present, into the senses, into your environment, connect with
That's
the,
super interesting.
ah,
And I love what you said about that we're looking for God outside of ourselves because that is like we're still seeing it's not like it's putting us down for having addictive tendencies. It's
hmm
like there's still good intent with that,
hmm
you know? Like most people aren't like, yeah, I really want to be addicted.
hmm
I don't know anybody who says that. So I love that perspective. I think that that's such a beautiful way to look at that. I've never heard that before.
hmm In this container, in the Phoenix Rising container, when we come together as a community and working with the medicine in that group space, um, people naturally stop drinking. It happens in every single container. People naturally stop watching pornography. They naturally stop drinking as much. And there's some magic that happens that creates the space and opportunity for one to meet themselves more deeply.
Hmm.
And that's what we already, all of us really need that, especially in the dynamic of being held in a container or witnessed by another person. It allows us to, without shame, unravel and connect the dots and to find your own medicine in the process because no one can do that for you. Like we can't do that for each other. Even as facilitators and as medicine women, we can only be lead by example and to hold the space for someone to come into their own magic, their own power as the alchemist, because that reclamation is an initiation that is so sacred that only they can go through,
Hmm.
only we ourselves can go through. And I think this medicine is such a powerful tool for that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So the people who come to this container, like what brought them there?
Mhm. People are looking for connection. People are really looking to connect with themselves. A lot of people, all ages, they're looking to trust themselves.
Yeah.
They want to be able to trust themselves. And it's really an interconnectedness that is that can be found in the space of community, if that makes sense, as we are mirrors for each other. So a lot of people too are just looking for their next. They know there's more, they're curious, they're hungry, they desire more impact. They desire to do be and have more. It's a natural thing for us to follow our desire. And at some point in time, a lot of people realize that they have been abandoning their desires, which is the most sacred thing
Hmm.
that is guiding us through life because our desire is God. Our desire is spirit seeking expression through us.
Yeah.
And it always is changing and it's dancing and it wants to experience itself in different flavors and different expressions and different forms. So people are looking to connect with that and wanting to trust that and follow it. So I think that's kind of what guides people into this container is creating that space and a beautiful opportunity for them to be initiated into that deep connection, that reverent connection with their desire.
I love
Yeah.
that. So is
Mhm.
it mainly people like who are making changes in their lives or what
For
are
sure.
who would
Yeah.
be the ideal person?
Yeah. Uh, the dream member for Phoenix Rising is a revolutionary, someone who wants to get the hell out of the box
Hmm.
people in society has tried to put them in. They're ready to break free. They know there's something more. They want to be sovereign and independent in their power, and are willing to follow their curiosity and 100% bet on themselves.
Hmm.
100% bet on themselves. Hmm.
Because that's what you've done.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no other way.
Yeah. And I know you're not like a huge fan of telling your story because you're not like attached to it, but I'm just curious, like you know, what brought you into doing this?
So, as a facilitator in my one-on-one work and my yoga practice as a teacher, as well as Phoenix Rising, are all beautiful offerings that have been birthed through my own process of alchemy, through my own pain process.
Hmm.
And so I am living proof of my practice. I'm healthy, I'm growing, I'm expanding, I'm living my life, I'm shedding layers of victim consciousness. And I in such a beautiful way have packaged my own journey and the tools that have worked for me, my own expertise and education into a program, into a guidance system that can help people uh, find their way back to their own medicine, their own truth.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. Mhm.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So I'm super pumped about our event we're having together. We're basically going to be combining the modalities and I think I'm going to do like a slower primordial with like mainly Kundalini activations based upon who's there.
Mhm.
And I don't know if we want to do the ceremony before or after, but I would prefer after just because, or before rather, because I always want to move and I feel
Mhm.
deeply connected. But I don't know, is there like a proper protocol?
Um, like a one size fits all.
Or I don't
Body.
know what you typically do. Do you have like a protocol that you typically do?
My protocol lately, if I'm working with medicine, which is actually pretty rare these days because I have worked with it so much,
Can you work with it too much? Is that something that happens?
too much, that's up for, the individual. But in my perspective, if you are not taking the time to integrate the downloads and the wisdom in facilitating that true change into your life while continuing to dose, then you might be dosing too much, because now you have an overload potentially of new information and new sensitivities that if you don't ground into that and recalibrate to that new awareness before ingesting more, I feel like that can be not very beneficial, if that makes sense.
Like, wow, I've never heard that.
Hmm.
So what, you just now then are stuck with a bunch of
Well,
information
let's talk about why
that
Kundalini can be potentially harmful, right?
Oh,
Because you're
totally.
working with all of this energy and
Hmm.
accessing all of this energy and not directing it or integrating it,
Oh yeah, you could have
that makes
physical
sense.
psychosis, you could
Yeah.
have relapses like in extreme forms. I mean, you could do regression. I mean, there's a lot of things that could happen just with Kundalini, and that's just using your own body and your body's, endocrine system and hormones.
Hmm.
And so it's like I can't even imagine. I guess like I've never gone off and done a bunch of macro doses in a row or
Yeah.
whatever. I've never had it because one is just like, oh my God, I saw the fabric of the universe, literally saw the fabric of the universe. And when I say that, it just means it's not even like what I like about it is that you don't feel high. People are like thinking that it's like a similar experience as smoking cannabis or like
Mhm.
which I love to do as well. But, moving away from Michigan and then having it only be medicinal here in Florida and to get that medicinal, like hard is like 50 times more expensive than it is in Michigan. Michigan, it was like literally just brought out like candy. And I do feel like there is a bigger agenda there, but that's just another podcast for another day. It's like, I think here, having less access to it has been better, but it's almost like I didn't even really want it anymore. Once I started doing
Mhm.
microdoses, like, and literally even after I sort of tapered down on the microdoses, I haven't like went back to that at all. So for me, it's been very therapeutic. I think it worked because I don't really seek anything outside of just being like my movement. I would say I'm addicted to my movement. I like to move.
Yeah, your energy just moving and
Well, I
dancing.
like to eat too. So I like to eat
Yeah.
and I like to move. So
Ah, that's what we're doing out here. We're just consuming stuff and spitting it out.
so real. Exactly. And
So high quality ingredients. So
yeah.
let's follow up on that. I mean, your microdosing experience, your ceremonial experience that you will have offered to you, it's just a subtle, sweet experience. It's a little. This is what this event is a beautiful initiation for the attendees. It's a beautiful initiation, an invitation for you to come in and to make a promise to yourself and to your body, um, to hone in on a devotional practice that you want to bring in for yourself this spring season as we are elevating our mindsets, our consciousness, our cellular frequency. Léah and I are going to have a delicious salad for you guys and fresh juices, homemade juices, sun infused, Reiki infused phytonutrients to support your cells and your endocrine system. So it's a portal for us to jump in and harmonize our endocrine system, our body, and bring all of our bodies into alignment so that we can be in our highest expression, in our greatest joy, in our greatest capacity to uh, be available to more life,
Yeah.
rich
Just have
life.
fun and enjoy
Yeah.
it. But then also like I think talking about what we also want to do. I mean, not even do, but it's like goals, because everybody who's already signed up has like so many things that they have going on. Like there's,
Yes.
you know what I mean? Like most people who are attracted to this type of event, I feel have a goal that they want to accomplish, whether it's like small as I want to shift a little bit of like my food plan or nutrition
Mhm.
to larger goals of like, I want to manifest the next
Yes.
level.
Yes. Yeah. For those of you listening, and you're curious about this event, we would love to have you join us and bring your aspirations, bring your big dreams. This is a space where you can get out of your box and just be in your authentic expression
Yeah.
and just, yeah, like marinate in the frequencies of total permission and freedom of expression. I'm really excited.
Yeah. And it's connection into amazing people in the community that are doing things that are, I think, changing the way that people think. That's one of the things I love about St. Pete because it's shaped like the pineal gland. And also there's a lot of that awakening and a lot of people who are doing really and I don't even think like we need to even focus so much on like, okay, we're going to change the world in this way, but literally even with just small action steps and all of the people that I've met, it's always something that has changed the way that I think. And I
Yeah.
think if you can even question one core belief and the way that you look at things, that's what shifts everything.
Yes. And your network is your net worth right now. Your network being a part of being independent, because a lot of us are shifting into a more sovereign lifestyle, independent living. Part of that is really getting setting yourself up for success. Know who your neighbors are. Get affiliated with your network. Be abundantly resourced in your community.
Hmm.
Because
That
this
is
is,
one thing I've learned in business and in life
yeah.
that it's not necessarily all of the knowledge that you have, but it's really who you know.
Mhm. Get yourself into the room.
Yep. That's why you got to come to the studio. I knew Emily before I even moved here.
Me
So
too. Emily,
that's so wild.
You and Emily go way back.
Yeah, we really do. Well, she kind of opened her studio at the same time that I opened mine or whatever. And then it sort of evolved. And then somehow we both ended up here, washed up on the shore.
The studio is why I've been here for over 3 years. I was dying in the Washington State winter, and my yoga studio shut
Girl.
down.
Oh
And
my
the owner was
God.
like, I know an old friend. She's a yoga studio in St. Pete, Florida. So I Googled it. I was like, most consecutive days of sunshine in a year out of any city in the US, St. Petersburg. I
Mm-hmm.
bought a flight and I showed up and I messaged Emily and I was like, I know you don't know who I am yet, but I'm going to come and work with you. And here
Yeah.
we are.
Oh my God. That just made a connection for me. Maybe that's why there is so many bright, like literally bright people, a lot of intelligent people who have just things that help change consciousness. Because when you're taking in those biophotons from the sun, it changes your DNA. You start to
Yeah.
be open to a little bit more, and you can kind of see how things connect.
Yeah.
Like just in a broad, I mean, I love it here. It's
Oh
really
my
brought me
God.
to make connections in my brain. I think really laterally. Like as you can see, I have a hard time even following an outline. It's really difficult for me to follow an outline because when I start talking, I'll start thinking about things that kind of connect to what we're talking about, and then it'll go sideways. But that's also how I connect the dots back in,
And that's natural and you can trust it because I think that's what these conversations are for.
for sure, is to really explore,
Um,
for sure,
I have seen you blossom in the medicinal nature of Florida. You've really taken advantage of
being in
the,
nature.
the
Yeah.
wisdom and the medicine of the swamp and the ocean and the
Mhm.
trees.
It's such a varied landscape. I love the nature. That's why I'm here, is really because like it was a pull. It wasn't even like, oh yeah, I think it's beautiful because the palm trees and it's warm. It was like the energy of the crystal sand. Then you get into the DNA, which is the Atlantis Bermuda Triangle type ish. Then you get into the caves and
Yes.
then the water, and then actually looking at the water tests and seeing that there's radium and lithium in the water. Because people say like there's something in the water in Florida. It's like, yeah, bacteria, but it's like, no, not even that. It's like literally minerals from the
Yeah.
stone and the coquina and the limestone. I mean, it's really powerful. And then you've got the lightning in Tampa.
Yeah.
And then you've got
Yeah.
the cleansing energy of the hurricanes, which like was traumatic at first, but now I get it. It's like, okay,
Yeah. Oh my
part of
gosh.
what I know. And what I love about it is that when I went back to that mound after the hurricane, everything was still there. Like literally intact, looked exactly the same. It wasn't even that many trees, kind of like, I mean, that was a traumatic hurricane too. So to actually go back and see how resilient it was, it awakened a resilience within me, which is why that I don't know if I think it was you that introduced me to the Philosopher's Stone. It's the mushroom or whatever that's grown in Tampa Bay, and it's meant to
Mhm.
like protect the wildlife after there's big storms and everything like that. And it leads you to being very philosophical in your thoughts. I can't
Yes.
remember if that was you, and I feel
I
like
don't think it was
you're the
me.
only person that's like told me about stuff like this. So because for me it was like, well, I love cannabis, and I was like, really love that plant. Mycelium is very masculine for me, even though I know that you refer to it as a very feminine
Wow.
energy.
Do you want to elaborate on that?
Sure. I mean, when I feel it, I feel like, look, I can feel what's in I'm ready to lift weights. I want to lift weights. I want to eat like a hefty meal. Like I'm not talking like a raw vegan salad, although I love that salad that I was telling you about that I'm going to make for the event. I like to eat potatoes with meat and
Yeah.
like a lot of vegetables. Like I just wanted to eat.
Mhm.
And I just feel a masculine energy. Like I just want to do. That's when I actually created the deck. So I
Mhm.
had some leftovers from something that you gave me a really long time ago. It was in the old school Spirit Spores can or whatever. And I took three of them. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna like make a connection, go to the mounds. I'm gonna draw some shit out. And that's when I made the connections of the crop circles with the meridians in the body and realized that the Fibonacci sequence and the golden ratio is consistent in both. Like it made some, I don't know, I was just staring off into space, kind of at my favorite
Yeah.
mound. And I saw this palm tree leaf kind of go around. And I'm like, that looks like the stomach meridian line. And I was just watching my favorite teacher talk about the pyramids and crop circles or whatever. And I didn't even think anything of it. I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
not really into all that. I've heard that they were a hoax. So I don't really pay too much attention. But then I started to go down the rabbit hole and they're all on sacred sites. And by the way, it's not just Florida that's sacred land. Everywhere in
Mhm.
America, it's
Amen.
sacred land.
Mhm.
It like literally is wherever you're at, even if you're in the middle of Nebraska and you don't think it's significant, if you really,
Especially upper Midwest.
especially really,
I mean, it's just
that's
like
wild.
it is sacred land and it's indigenous land.
Yeah, that's so real.
Hmm.
But if you like really dig into the DNA of the land, you'll start to really unravel some things. And now that the earth is shifting so much, it's like we can uncover all of those stories. And if you take the mycelium from, isn't this true, right? Like if you take the medicines from that land, it awakens you in a different way. Kind of like how bee pollen or whatever in your local honey is like healthier for you than if you were to get it at the store from God knows where.
Yes. Just like we're designed to eat seasonally, just like we're designed to eat according to potentially our blood type or our genes, our genetic makeup, our environment.
Mm.
Um, just like we have the astrocartography, is that how you say it, where you can activate different parts of yourself, your body, depending on where you are on the
Hmm.
globe.
Yeah. And I think that's what made me open to even considering it is A, you and your personality, but also B, it's like that my ascending line does go right through Tampa. It's very prominent on my chart. So it's really strange. I didn't even look into that until I was actually here.
That's amazing about the meridians.
Mhm.
And I know you weaved your brilliant knowledge of the meridians into your new, is it a tarot deck? What kind of deck?
It's
What?
not a tarot deck. It's more of like a reference tool for the trainings. So like because I teach a lot of yoga and I make reference to a lot of different
Me
things
too.
like ley lines and vortexes on the earth because I don't and that's why I really actually love mycelium. Now that I really talk about it and we're really in this conversation because it is from directly from the earth. And it has an intelligence that I think is different than homegrown cannabis does or any other sort of, I don't know what you want to call them, psychoactive
Mhm.
from the earth. I feel that because it is so natural and it's like almost like a compost that's consuming that which already died, parts of nature that have already died. You know what I mean? And then it creates a new life that then you eat or however you consume it. Some people brew it in a tea or whatever.
I mean, I've seen people take a few grams of short caps and it literally purges inflammation from their body. It purges
Hmm.
shame from the emotional body. Like it is purifying on a cellular level. I mean, people with neurological disorders or even inflammation in their nervous system will work with this medicine and they'll be inflammation free uh, for some time.
I mean, that's wild. Maybe that's why it's like, do you even know why it would be considered illegal in certain places?
Absolutely, because it works, and something that works does not keep you coming back. It doesn't make you a lifelong customer, and it's not you can't profit off of something that heals, uh, brings lasting healing and change.
Wow. I've never thought about that
We
either.
live in a system that is designed to keep you in victim consciousness, codependence, and literally sick.
Consuming. Mm-hmm. Just constant consumption of just stuff to help heal the other stuff that's caused
Right
by
now you're taking
doing this
the
stuff.
pharmaceuticals for the side effects from the other stuff. So yeah, I mean, this is where the mycelium comes on and it comes in. It's literally doing the cleanup work.
Wow, that's pretty extraordinary.
Yeah, it's really cool. A rabbit hole. We could be
Yeah,
here all day.
it is a rabbit hole, but that's why people need a coach or an advisor. Or
Absolutely, yes.
what do you consider
Absolutely.
yourself, a coach or?
Yeah. I don't consider myself like a coach within like the coaching industry. I
Right. I
really,
love that post. Y'all got to check out that post on Heart Space
yes,
Revolution because it's a lot of folks out there that fit the categories that you was talking about.
yes, yes. And I love to see people growing and coming into their leadership and starting their own businesses. And we all need to check ourselves where we are in and out of integrity because
Mm.
I mean, we can all only be in integrity to the extent of our self-awareness, and we're all growing in our self-awareness. So we just need to check in once in a while and looking at where you can improve. Um,
I
and
love that approach because if you're triggered by it, it means there's something in you that is out of alignment, and that's okay. That's okay. You weren't saying that that's not okay.
not here to shame, just to bring awareness.
Yeah,
Right. We don't need the byproduct of shame in up in here. No, I really consider myself a revolutionary. I really do, a trailblazer, a leader. I am many things. I'm very multidimensional and I have a very broad toolbox. I've studied so much and I'm weaving the realms of Western and Eastern medicine together.
hmm
I'm weaving consciousness and cellular biology together, just bridging all of these dimensions that we exist in.
hmm
And it's so fun.
Yeah,
We're
that's
not supposed to
awesome.
know it all. We're really not supposed to know it all. That's why I can't come in and hand anyone their superpowers or fix you, but we can dance together and come into our full reclamation and live large.
hmm
And I just want to say one more thing that I really noticed that I am calling this into is everybody who has integrated their plant medicine journey. I noticed the natural progression for these people going through their awakening is to naturally come into entrepreneurship. People are like, oh, they really embody the understanding that they are creating,
hmm
right? We're constantly creating. And so it's just now you know too much. You can't go back. Take your mind back, take your body back, and apply your energy to create the life that you really want. So people start getting curious, opening their own LLCs, coming into their um, leadership as a coach or a guide, a facilitator of some sort. Um, so I just noticed that progression, and I have been naturally gone into the progression myself as well, where I'm helping people establish their own businesses and
I
create
love
that
that.
independence and freedom. Yeah. So that they can work for themselves, make the money that they want, and not trade their time for money or outsource their value or their gifts,
hmm
for someone else's dreams. And
hmm
not to say that everyone should be an entrepreneur, I'm just noticing um, that progression.
For sure. That's awesome. So I know we mentioned where to find you, but we'll say it one more time. It's heartspacerevolution.com
Yep.
and you use Instagram primarily.
Heart Space Revolution on everything. Hit me up on Instagram. I check my email every day and find a website. Um, Phoenix Rising. The next container starts on 420. I have 5 spots left.
Okay, 420.
Quick.
I love
Starting
that.
on 420, we're going to dive into a 2-month portal together, and you have the opportunity to dance with the medicine. But I always say microdosing is optional, but your transformation is inevitable.
hmm Oh, so not everybody microdoses. That's great.
Not everyone chooses to work with the medicine. It's just an option. It's a loving ally. And it's fun to see, some people decide to work with it halfway through. So it's
I love
really your
that.
choice.
Thank you so much for this convo. I learned a lot.
Yes.
I feel
I'm
like you
very
have
excited.
such a good heart.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. You're the GOAT. I'm ecstatic to be here with you, and it is a super, super honor to facilitate this circle with you on
Yeah,
427.
427.
We're gonna
Be
bring
there
our
at the square, thestudio.com.
Yeah, sign up, y'all. Sign up. We have treats for you. I'm gonna bring all of my tools, my sound bowls, and we're gonna blast you off into the next dimension. You're gonna walk away feeling brand new.
Thank you so much for this.
Yes, mommy.